Chapter 2. Hans was nervous, to say the least. While he was able to get out of the walled kingdom once again, he was more fearful of what awaited him when he found Pavlova. That is, if he found her at all. I hope she wasn't eaten. Pavlova is such a sweet little kitten, and the only friend I have, Hans thought to himself as he carefully walked through the woods with his crossbow at the ready, with his hood drawn over his head. Pavlova? Pavlova, are you here? The boy called out once he was far enough into the forest. Hans suddenly saw a bush move out of the corner of his eye. He gasped and turned toward the source of the sound, only to jump when he felt something rub against his leg behind him. Ow! He shouted, looking down to see Pavlova, his adorable little kitten. Pavlova! Hans exclaimed with joy as he picked up his friend and hugged her close as she purred in his arms. You're all right? Hans questioned when he noticed the kitten's leg was completely healed. There wasn't even a bandage on it. It was as if the accident yesterday had never happened. How is it that you're fine? How did they heal your leg? Hans asked Pavlova, who simply meowed, happy to see her boy. Wait, it was that girl who took you, wasn't it? Hans said rather than asked. But then he sighed in relief. Oh, I was afraid she was going to eat you, the boy said with a chuckle, when suddenly he heard a twig snap from behind him. Hans gasped when he looked to see what was in front of him. There was a young, large, light brown she-wolf with familiar crystal blue eyes, standing a few feet away from him. Ah, 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 ah! Hans stuttered breathlessly as he quickly placed Pavlova behind him and placed an arrow in his crossbow, pointing it at the wolf, who calmly inched closer to him. Stay back now! Back! I'll shoot! Hans threatened nervously when suddenly Pavlova climbed up on him and pulled the arrow off of his crossbow, meowing determinedly. Pavlova, what are you doing? Stop that! Hans demanded, but the kitten didn't listen, as she then took three other arrows in Hans' pack on his back out of his reach. No! Wait, what? Hans cried when he realized all he had to defend himself was an empty crossbow, and the wolf was getting closer. Get away, wolf! No, get away! Hans stuttered, backing away from the wolf, only to step into a snag rope trap that whipped him upside down. No! Hans cried out in fear as he hung upside down, while the wolf only tilted her head, looking up at the boy in a confused way. Stay away, you wolf! I'm gonna get you! Hans shouted determinedly as he tried to kick the wolf with his free leg, only to swing around in a circle, making the wolf and Pavlova smile in amusement. The wolf barked playfully as her tail began to wag, as she tried to jump up and bite the rope that tracked Hans, who was getting more scared by the second. It's trying to attack me, Hans thought to himself in alarm as he tried to punch and kick the wolf yet again, he only succeeded in batting its nose a few times, when suddenly, at the same time the wolf was able to bite and break the rope, Hans' hand tried to smack her, making her bite the boy's arm as well. Hans cried out when the wolf bit him as he fell onto the ground free of the trap, but that was the least of his worries. He took his bleeding arm in his other hand and bit his lip in pain as he stared at the bite mark and looked up at the she-wolf, who was in much shock as he was from the looks of it. And when Hans blinked, he nearly fainted from fright. For a split second, when his eyes were closed, he saw a familiar girl with auburn hair and a worried and shocked expression on her face in place of the wolf. Hans backed away from the she-wolf in fright as she inched closer. No, Hans begged as he closed his eyes, waiting for his death, only to feel the wolf gently lick the bite upon his arm. Huh? Hans said as he had said softly as he watched the wolf run ahead and turned to look at him, with Pavlova jumping onto her back. Pavlova? The boy questioned as the wolf, with the kitten on her back, turned and ran off. Wait! Pavlova! Hans called as he then got up and ran after the wolf with his cap, completely forgetting about his crossbow. Hans followed the wolf and Pavlova deep into the forest until he came across an area heavily covered in vines. Where did they go? Hans wondered as he put his hand on the vines, only for them to part for him with a glowing golden light. Hans gasped, but nonetheless he walked through the area to a small valley leading to a cave. There he saw the wolf that had bitten him, with Pavlova going inside the cave. Hans quickly followed them, but stayed behind the entrance of the cave when he saw the dozen gray wolves a dozen gray wolves around the cave. But what shocked him the most was what he saw at the very back of the cave itself. The young girl he had seen yesterday was asleep on a mat next to an older girl who looked about Eric's age. Both females were asleep as a light brown wolf that had bitten Hans circled the younger girl he had seen yesterday. Hans was about to run in to wake the girls and warn them about the wolves in the cave, only to see the wolf that had bitten him evaporate into golden light and descend into the younger girl's body. And once the light and the wolf were gone, the younger girl's eyes opened softly. Hans cried out in confusion and terror as he hid behind the other side of the cave so the girl wouldn't see him, covering his mouth so as not to make a sound. Wolfwalkers, they're real, he thought to himself. You can come out, you know, the girl called from the inside of the cave. Hans then, not knowing what else to do, carefully looked in the inside of the cave to see the girl in the teal dress holding a purring Pavlova in her arms as she sat on one of the gray wolves' backs, while he and the other wolves approached Hans growling. I knew you were here, you know. Now come out. Let's see you, the girl demanded. Hans knew there was no other option, so he shakily stepped into the cave. Please, don't kill me, he begged in a small voice, but to his surprise, the girl began to laugh. Why would we do that? She asked between laughs as she jumped off of the wolf's back, as he and the other wolves stopped growling when the girl nodded at them. Well, because you're a, Hans started, but the girl cut him off. Wolfwalker. So what? You should be thanking me, the girl stated as she paced Pavlova down, letting her go to sit at Hans' feet. Why? Hans questioned firmly. I saved you, the girl said obviously. Hans frowned at her words. Saved me? You bit me, Hans exclaimed, holding out his bleeding arm. The girl crossed her arms. Well, you kicked me in the snout enough times. Well, you were attacking me, Hans pointed out. I was trying to get you out of that trap. And anyway, you came into my forest, the girl stated, turning away from Hans. Your forest? It's the king's forest. Your wolves are attacking the woodcutters. Hans started, only for the girl to cut him off again. They should be staying closer to the town, and so should you, town boy. Now let me see your arm, the girl said, reaching for Hans' wounded arm, only for the boy to hold it away from her. What are you going to do, bite it again? Hans questioned. Will you stop acting like a child? Let me see it and fix it. Before it's too late, the girl said urgently, grabbing Hans' arm, who sighed in defeat. Fine, he said as he watched the girl take his arm in one hand, while the other began to glow in a golden light as it was over Hans' wound. Ow! She howled, persuading the other wolves to howl as well, with the golden light. The golden light warmed Hans' wounded arm until the wound itself was no more. What? Hans wondered, observing his now completely healed arm. All right, well, fixed now. It never happened. Goodbye, the girl said, turning away from Hans. So you did heal Pavlova, Hans stated as he picked up his kitten and held her close. Yes, I fixed you and your cat. You're welcome, town boy. Goodbye, the girl proclaimed as she tried to push Hans out of the cave. Wait, who's that? The boy asked, turning around, pointing to the older girl that was still asleep. Is she part of your family? Hans asked, making the younger girl before him sigh. You better go or my wolves will eat you, she teased, making Hans' eyes widen. Wait, what? But I didn't, he started, but the girl cut him off. Oh no, too late, they're gonna eat you, the girl sang. No! Hans shouted, running at full speed out of the cave, with Pavlova in his arms, and the wolves on the girl hot on his trail. Ha-ha! Run away, town boy! The wolves are after you! She shouted, riding on one of the wolves' backs again. No! Get away from me! Hans shouted as the wolves playfully ran after him and Pavlova. But you're so slow! I bet you're scared of your own shadow, the girl teased as she jumped off of the wolf and ran beside Hans. I am not, Hans defended, other than running like mad around my forest. And what else do you do, town boy? The girl questioned with a giggle. Will you stop calling me that? My name is Hans, the boy said, outraged. Hans? That's a nice name. I'm Clara. Back there sleeping in the cave with my older sister, Louise, the girl said. Wow, so it's wow! Hans cried as he ran into the vines covering the exit to the rest of the forest. You really need to learn to watch where you're going. Clara sighed as she patted one of the wolves on the back, as they whimpered happily and licked her face. As I was saying, is your sister Louise a wolf walker too? Hans asked carefully as he took the leaves and twigs out of his hair while taking off his hood. Of course she is, just like our little brother and parents, Clara stated proudly. And what about the wolves here? Are they people too? Hans questioned curiously. No, my goodness! How big do you think my blood-related family is? No, we wolf-walkers like to live among the wild wolves. It makes us feel more at home, since humans aren't exactly the most accepting type. Clara trailed off sadly, making Hans feel guilty. I thought for her for a beast, but she helped me in Pavlova, so she can't be a bad person. Or wolf, he thought to himself. Well, I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused you. I'm not supposed to be out here anyway, so I'll leave, he said. Good, I'm mad to get you out of my den, but first close your eyes, Clara requested. Wait, what? Why? Hans asked as the girl took out a blindfold cloth from her dress pocket and used it to tie it around Hans' eyes. I don't want you coming back here. It's a secret safe place. But Clara, I already found it, Hans said dully. Oh, just be quiet and walk forward. I'll point you back to the town, Clara stated, pushing Hans forward. Now this way, town boy. Hans. All of you go back to bed. Remember, it isn't safe for you to be out here during the daytime, the girl said, giving her wolves one last look before beginning the journey back to the town, while the wolves themselves turned back to the cave.